brings synthesis. There is a close relation between the highest center, the head center, and that at the base of the spine. This fourth type of energy thus expresses itself in cooperation with the first type, because we are still Atlantean in our polarization, and that civilization was the fourth in order. It is very largely the work done in our fifth civilization, our present Aryan race, which will, in cooperation with the fifth principle of the mind, bring a shift into a higher level of consciousness. This will produce a harmonizing of all the centers through an act of the will, intellectually and intelligently applied, with the objective of producing harmony. This point warrants thought. On the astral plane there will also be found in every astral body 7 corresponding focal points through which energy can enter, raying forth then into the vital centers in the etheric physical body as 7 differentiated types of force. These types of force produce both bad and good effects, according to the quality of the negative dense physical body. These differ according to the type of ray or force, and it may be interesting if I here indicate to you the good and the bad effects and the corresponding diseases. Astral force center bad aspect, disease good aspect. First ray. Head self-pity. Cancer. Sacrifice. Will or power. The dramatic eye dedication of the eye. Second ray. Heart self-love. Heart trouble. Soul love. Love wisdom. Personality. Stomach trouble. Group love. Third ray. Sacral sexuality. Social diseases. Parental love. Activity. Overactivity. Group life. Fourth ray ajna selfishness. Insanities. Mysticism. Harmony. Dogmatism. Fifth ray. Throat lower psychism. Wrong metabolism. Creativity knowledge. Certain cancers. Sensitivity. Inspiration sixth ray. Solar plexus emotionalism. Nervous diseases. Aspiration. Devotion. Gastritis right direction. Liver trouble. Seventh ray. Base of the self-interest. Heart diseases. White magic. Organization. Spine pure selfishness. Tumors. Black magic. Please remember in studying this tabulation that it is a generalization, and only a partial listing of the types of disease which can be the result of the inflow of energy. It is only intended to be suggestive. The complexity of the human equipment, and the intricacy of the ray energies are such that no hard and fast rules can be laid down. The ray forces manifest differently, according to ray type and point in evolution. There is therefore no contradiction here to the previous tabulations. If you bear in mind that every human being is basically an expression of 5 ray forces. 1. The ray of the soul, 2. The ray of the personality, 3. The ray governing the mental body, 4. The ray governing the astral equipment, 5. The ray of the physical nature. It will become apparent that for the average person 2 such tabulations would have to be drawn up. 1. There would be required the positive analysis of the astral forces, as they express the personality. 2. An analysis of the soul forces, as they are faintly indicated. A negative analysis concerning what is not present in the equipment can be of little value here. It will again be necessary to have an analysis of the forces, playing through into the physical body from the astral plane, which are received directly from the soul and are therefore a combination of soul force plus the highest type of astral energy. This would be in the nature of a synthetic analysis, and would only be possible in the case of a disciple, or an initiate. You will therefore eventually have for each person 1. A positive analysis of the personality forces, primarily of the astral force as that is the predominating force pouring into the etheric centers. 2. a negative analysis of those aspects of soul energy which are not present. 3. A synthetic analysis, based on both the above, but combining also the record of positive soul expression. In these tabulations and statements I have given you much food for thought. Be desire inhibited or rampant? It would be of value to you here if I made clear that one of the first things a student has to remember is that for the majority of human beings, for the huge majority, the influences and impulses which emanate from the astral plane are a predisposing factor in all matters with which the individual concerns himself, apart from those conditions which, being imposed upon him from his environment and the period in which he lives, are, for him, unavoidable. The astral plane is a center of dynamic emanating force, which is fundamentally conditioning in its effect because of the stage of the individual consciousness at which that majority finds itself. Men are swayed by the impulse of desire of a high or low caliber. This is, of course, a broad generalization, for that basic condition is becoming steadily modified by impulses coming from the mental plane. This necessarily complicates the problem. Influences emanating from the soul are also becoming appreciably present, and still further complicate the problem of the advanced human being. This problem of complication, if I might so call it, constitutes a hard saying for the student to understand in relation to his own physical condition or to that of anyone whom he may be seeking to help. I should like here, in this connection, to give you the third of the laws which govern the sacred art of healing. Diseases are an effect of the basic centralization of a man's life energy. From the plane whereon those energies are focused, proceed those determining conditions which produce ill health, and which, therefore, work out as disease or as freedom from disease. It will be apparent to you, therefore, that a shift of the inner attention, the mental attitude, of the patient can and will produce either real freedom from physical ills, or an intensification of those reactions which produce discomfort, disease or death. In the three laws which I have given you and which you now have before you for consideration, it is obvious that the following facts emerge. These should form the basis of your reflection. 1. Disease is the result of the blocking of the free flow of the life of the soul. 2. It is the product, or the result, of three influences. A. Ancient error, emanating from the past history of the person involved. B. Human taints, inherited because one is a member of the human family. C. Planetary evil, imposed upon all forms on earth by the basic condition, and by time. 3. It is conditioned by the forces emanating from that plane, whereon a man's consciousness is primarily centered. To the above statements should be added a further fact, already mentioned, that 4. There are 5 major groups of diseases, with their allied complaints and subsidiary diseases. A. Tuberculosis. B. The syphilitic diseases. C. Cancer. D. Heart difficulties. E. Nervous diseases. I am not dividing what I have to say into organic and functional troubles, nor do I here refer to illnesses induced by epidemics or by accidents. I refer to those basic taints, or predispositions that are the dubious heritage of humanity as a whole, and to those difficulties which are incident to those stages in evolutionary development which are characteristic of those upon the more advanced stages of the path. It will be seen, therefore, that man comes into incarnation having inherited predispositions to disease which come 1. From his own past, i.e., effects, which are the result of causes initiated in earlier incarnations. 2. From the general racial heritage of humanity. 3. From the condition of the planetary life. These latter causes lift the whole problem out of the usual comprehension of the average man. A human being is also predisposed to trouble if he has succeeded, as a result of a long evolutionary history, in awakening in some fashion, however slight, the centers above the diaphragm. The moment that occurs, he becomes subject, for a long cycle of lives, to difficulties connected with the heart or with the nervous system in its various branches. Frequently an advanced human being, such as an aspirant or a disciple, may have freed himself from the inherited taints, but will succumb to heart trouble, to nervous disorders, mental imbalance, and overstimulation. They are classified occasionally as the diseases of the mystics. I would like to make it clear that it is not my intention to enter into the realm of physiological discussion, to elaborate the symptoms of disease, or to deal with the lesions, the pathological conditions, and the distressing details attendant upon the breakdown of any human organism. I am not going to write a treatise on anatomy or on the various sciences which have grown up from a study of the mechanism of the human being, connected as they are with the framework and structure, the organs, nerves, brain tissue and interrelated systems which compose that intricate piece of machinery, the human body. As far as the exoteric science is concerned, two things would successfully deter me: 1. The whole subject is marvelously dealt with in the many books, which embody the literature of medicine, and of surgery. There is little that I could add which would be of profit in such a discussion as this. 2. The readers of my words are not, with few exceptions, versed in the construction and constitution of the human body. And pathological details, the description of diseases, and the various unpleasant symptoms of human degeneration are unwholesome reading for the average man or woman. A little knowledge along these lines can be a most dangerous thing. I seek to deal primarily with causes, with the inner sources of disease, and deal with those states of consciousness, I do not say states of mind only, which induce wrong functioning, and eventually wrong conditions. The problem of the healer, therefore, is twofold. First, he must know whether the difficulty lies above or below the diaphragm. This takes him definitely into the realm of occult, as well as of psychological knowledge. Secondly, he must have a clear grasp of the patient's inner emphasis. This last aids him in the diagnosis of the first. This statement brings me to the formulation of the third rule for healers. Rule 3: let the healer train himself to know the inner stage of thought, or of desire of the one who seeks his help. He can thereby know the source from which the trouble comes. Let him relate the cause and the effect, and know the point exact through which relief must come. I would like to call your attention to those last few words, and would emphasize to you the fact that disease primarily is an effort on the part of the natural physical body to seek relief, and achieve release from inner pressures, from subjective inhibitions and hidden retentions. Primarily, from the point of view of esotericism, all physical disease is the result of 1. Wrong stimulation, or overstimulation, or wrongfully placed stimulation and of inner tensions in some part of the mechanism. 2. Inhibitions, psychical starvation, and those accumulated subjective forces which dam the flow of the life forces. You will see, therefore, that again, in the domain of health, all problems resolve themselves into the right